Katie Evans. I'm the outreach coordinator here at Trussville Public Library. We are excited to have you all here for one of our local author events. If you are not familiar with our facilities, our restrooms, if you go back out towards the front door and hang a left, you'll go through our art gallery, and it's on just on the other side of the gallery. If you have not been here before and afterwards you'd like to know what we're all about, I have information. I also have QR codes. If you are not currently signed up for our newsletter and want to stay on top of events, I can help you with that. And also we have a Friends of the Library organization, which is a nonprofit attached to us that helps us with supplemental funding to make all sorts of programs possible. So I think a lot of y'all know Gary. We are actually connected over multiple ways. Through Bethany United Methodist. His mom was at the senior center when I started outreach there, and he basically, his second home is the archives room. It is.
I've already been in it today.
Have you?
Yeah, I had to go take some shots of the book inside there. I had to show the archives room the finished product.
Oh, nice.
I did.
So anyways, we are excited to have Gary Lloyd here today. Enjoy.
Thank you, Katie. Can y'all hear me all right?
Yeah.
Good. Need the microphone or no?
Yeah.
Yes on the microphone?
Yes.
All right. How about now? How about now? We'll go old school like that. Is that working all right? All right. Appreciate y'all coming today. Like Katie said, my name is Gary Lloyd. Trussville resident, Trussville native, class of 2006. And this presentation today for the release of this book is going to be pretty short. My favorite author of all time is Rick Bragg. He was a professor of mine at the University of Alabama, and all of his book talks, he would say, I would rather talk with you rather than talk at you. And I feel the same way. So I'll hit a few highlights, and then if y'all have questions, anything y'all want to talk about, I'm game for that. So more than anything today, I'm just going to talk about why and how this book came about. Have y'all ever seen that photo? Before you picked up a book today, have you ever seen that photo? Yeah? So this 1937 image shows the construction progress of the Cahaba project from around the Brentwood Avenue area, looking back to the north toward the mall and where eventually what we now know as Cahaba Elementary is, and beyond that further toward Cherokee. Images such as these, nearly 100 years old, show what used to be. I don't know if y'all can see it. It's really hard to see. I'm just going to come up here and try to point to it. So this is obviously in the middle of construction, but this really dark area here that's probably in the Lake Street, Magnolia kind of area. I know all this is dark, but do you see this structure right here? Can y'all see that at all? It's really dark and blends in. There's an old barn there. So that had yet to be raised while construction was ongoing on the homes that we know of today. So there's a little bit of old and new in this photo. We have this exact photo, I don't want to say blown up, but we have all the streets marked at Heritage Hall just over here at the Trussville Historical Museum. And this, to me, this picture just showed kind of what was becoming, what this once farmland, slag-covered land became. And it's really what my book is all about, how and why it was formed and how it led to what we know is not only the historic Cahaba project, but also Trussville today. So I'm going to make y'all stomach a quick video real quick. I wanted to show you just this quick video I recorded. I've spent, as Katie said, oh Lord, I can't tell you the number of hours I've spent in the archives room here. My wife Jessica in the back might know how many hours I've spent in that archives room, but it's been a lot. And I just wanted to show you this real quick. This was after a day-long archives trip. I was probably in that room for 8 hours. and just watch this real quick, and then we'll dive into a little more about it.
All right, y'all. Archives reflection time. Just spent another 5-6 hours in the archives of the Trussville Public Library. Spent all of that time just combing through 8 binders about the Cahaba project. Each binder marked for a specific year, 1936 through 1943. And just some off the cuff observations, reflections of just how important, just how historical, just how special this place really is. I mean, these binders are mostly invoices and descriptions and work to be done and wages to be paid by the government to the folks seeking relief from the Great Depression. It's truly unbelievable to really go through it. Yes, on the whole, most of it is boring, invoices and stuff like that. Aren't a whole lot of fun, but they tell a story, and they tell the story of how important this place was at the time to a lot of people who probably didn't end up living here. They needed the work, and the work was done really, really well. It's why after the Cahaba project opened in 1938, why it's still the most historically, aesthetically intact government homestead project, certainly in the state, probably in the entire country. Hear that again. Probably the most historically, aesthetically intact homestead project in the entire country. What we have here is important, should be treated as such. And when I was going through, as I started to approach the years 1939, there was a lot about what's now Heritage Hall, then a cooperative store, and just the minute details that were gone over again and again before that project could be completed. And then 1940, repainting these houses. They've been open for 2 years. They're going through it, repainting. More painting throughout 1941 through 1943. The homes, the garages, other buildings around here with certain specifications. The government, for all their oversight back then and now, especially making sure that the jobs were done right. I mean, down to how keyholes should be addressed with paint. Just wanted to offer some reflection there in the last 2 pages of the binder about 1943. Goes on to very quickly mention the war, World War II, and how to prepare for certain defense. Just crazy how much went into this place, sandwiched between the Great Depression and World War II. And this is what we got out of it. So, I don't know, maybe this means nothing to you, but more and more I read about it, the more and more I research it, the more impressed I am, and the more inspired I am. All right, y'all.
Okay. You can tell how devoted I was to this because you heard the wind, and that was January. And I was freezing. But that was just a day, one of those particular days where coming out of the archives room that's in this building that we're in now, where just incredibly inspired, and it just kind of leads into why I wrote the book. And a big part of why I wrote the book actually is born out of embarrassment. And some people I've told I would not tell that story, but I'm going to tell it now because now that this book's out, I can poke fun of myself a little bit. So 11 years ago, I published a book that's here today, Trussville, Alabama, A Brief History. And what the publishing company wanted was the highlights. They wanted a very encyclopedia-like, just hit the facts about Trussville. I went on Talk of Alabama in 2014, to talk about that book. And one of the questions that the reporter asked me was, what was the most interesting thing that you learned in researching this book? And my answer had something to do with Civitan Bridge being moved in the 1980s, and it was a ridiculous answer. I did not know what to say, and it proved just how little I'd really just scratched the surface. I had not really gone fully in depth. I completely overlooked the New Deal and how it impacted our city directly. One of 8 of these communities in Alabama, one of 100 in the entire country. As a journalist, I buried the lead, is what I did. So as I got involved with these groups you see here, Trussville Historical Board and Trussville Historical Society. Most of you probably wonder why in the world there are 2. Trussville Historical Board is appointed by our city council. Trussville Historical Society is a 501c3 nonprofit, so that we can raise money to take care of things we need to take care of in the museum. 2021, we created the Cahaba Homestead Heritage Foundation. A couple of our board members are here, Meg, Kathy. And when I joined that board, I was tasked as really the only one in the group that did not live in the Cahaba project to research its history and do the social media things and do the website things. And I started realizing just how big of a deal this place truly was then and still is today. So it kind of lit a bit of a fire in me for our local history and advancing the importance of that local history, because in large part, likely nobody in this room, but a lot of people that are not here today do not know that history, and I would go so far as to say maybe don't appreciate that history the way some of us in this room do. And so that kind of became my personal mission along with the mission of the Cahaba Homestead Heritage Foundation. How I wrote the book. Cahaba Homestead Heritage Foundation involvement. We've hosted a lot of events. We've done a lot. And I spent probably the first year and a half just grasping, just talking to people, getting to know people who I didn't really know before that are in this room today. And just trying to be a sponge and learn from the stories, do my own research for the history, and just learn everything I could. And at some point, like we're talking, like I'm doing historical research, I'm talking to folks, there's nostalgia, and really this book also has conflict, because the future of the Cahaba project has been debated for a long, long time. And for whatever reasons, various administrations have not seen it through one way or the other. So I thought this would be a great book to kind of have everything in one place so that there weren't questions. I mean, I've heard, I'm never going to name names, but I've heard people just say the houses are not historic, the dirt is. Well, the WPA labor did not build the dirt. They built the homes. The homes are historic. They are on the National Register of Historic Places. I've heard we only need to protect this section, that section. It is a whole district in itself. It is one. So it had that conflict, and it's had that conflict. It's obviously got tons of nostalgia. People growing up here, going to school at the Hewitt High School, which is now Cahaba Elementary School. And I really wanted to dive into the full history of this place and put out just a definitive history of what this place is, how it was created, what it became, what it meant for not only what became Trussville, but also its role in really the development of suburbia across the country, because I think we have that here. So why the model city? That might be hard to see. So that's why the reason I titled the book The Model City, it was referenced routinely early on. In these above screenshots, The screenshot text on the left comes from the National Register of Historic Places from 2006, in which a description states model city. It's kind of covered up down here, but it's highlighted in yellow. But it goes back much further. The news story on the top right is from 1940, in which a large spread of photos and article ran, stating that the Cahaba Project was a, quote, model community designed to enable the middle class to raise its standard of living in the wake of the Great Depression. Initially, this area was going to be a resettlement project like many others, farmland, modest house, that kind of thing. The slag from the left behind iron furnace that was here made that a problem. You cannot farm land filled with iron ore and slag. There is a chapter in the book where a family that lived, they no longer live here, but they lived on Parkway Drive, and they went to put an addition on the back of the house. And they were digging the footers. They were going to go 3 feet deep into the earth. And it took going 10 feet before they got through all the slag and hit earth. It blew their budget out of the water. So the government kind of had to, we've said this at a lot of our CHHF events, is the government kind of had to pivot a little bit in its thought process. They ultimately said, let's show off with this place. Let's make it a model suburban community, dawning of a fruitful America, that sort of thing coming out of the Great Depression. So this place is incredibly unique. Cannot understate that and overstate that enough, how unique this place is. How long did it take? 2021, a lot of research for CHHF. 2022 is really when I tell people I kind of started this thing in earnest, making phone calls. He's not here today, but I remember in particular, I had a phone call with Zach Gabert that grew up here, lives in Atlanta now. And we talked on the phone. He's 91 years old now. We talked on the phone in 2022, so I guess he was 88. We talked on the phone for 3 hours up to about midnight. And I was like, do you need to go to bed? And he was like, do you need to go to bed? He's a night owl. I'm not. But yeah, and then that just kind of continued into 2023. Phone calls, a lot of research, started spending a lot of time here in the archives room. 2024 was, oh my gosh, just so many phone calls, so much research in this building, in Heritage Hall across the street, at home, as you can tell by that bottom image where I've just about conked out on research there. You can see the dog has given up on going for a walk for the night, but that's what it takes. And then this year, just some final interviews just to kind of touch up on some final things I needed to do. Some last minute kind of writing and a whole lot of editing. So that was kind of the process. This is a story I like to tell, and we're getting near the end of this thing, but why July 8th for the release date? I was trying to figure out, I needed to get this book done so that I honestly, just to be honest with you all, so I could start on another one. And so I'm starting on another one, but I needed to pick a release date for this one. And I didn't know, like, how should I pick it? Do I just pick any random day? Should it have meaning? I wanted it to have meaning. And there was an article that you see there that came out July 8th, 1936 in, I believe it was the Birmingham Post at the time. And it's an article I've come back to for gosh, every one of these last 4 years. Every July 8th, I share it on all of our social media accounts and try to get people to see what this shows here. Just this living in the suburbs, working in town, trustful homesteads to offer, quote, more abundant life. And what you're seeing there is kind of a blueprint image on the top of here's what we're going to build here. And down beneath it is this is what used to be here. This is what we're kind of doing away with to make room for this. And the article really doesn't quote anybody. It just tells you, here's the plan, basically. And I've got the lead to the article clipped right there. Just a once dead, deserted ironworkers village near Trussville gave promise of new and abundant life today. And personally, I could not think of a better way to describe what this place was, and at this time, what it was about to become. And so I thought July 8th works perfectly for what this book is and what this book means. So I love stuff like that has a little bit of a hidden meaning. I'm sure some authors just pick a date just to pick a date, but I wanted it to also have some sort of story to it as well. All right, then and now. Y'all recognize, I'm sure a lot of y'all recognize this spot, corner of North Mall. The Dooleys live in that house. That's what I've learned during this. A lot of y'all don't say like 100 North Mall. You say the Dooley house. And like, I'm like, I can't put Dooley house in Google Maps, but that's what that speaks so much to what this place is and how tight knit it is and how important these people are to each other. And the quote that you see there from FDR shortly before that article ran, see June 27, 1936. So I'll tell you a quick story. I went to Warm Springs, Georgia, where FDR went to seek treatment for his polio before and during his presidency. Saw the bed he died in, saw the chair that he fell over in. I stood in that little white house. I got a personal tour. It was awesome. There's a chapter on it in this book. And this quote, it's something he said at the 1936 Democratic National Convention. It just kind of symbolized FDR's vision of a collective responsibility for Americans to confront the challenges of economic inequalities and issues and to shape an American future rooted in hope and purpose. He died 9 years later, 2 years before Trussville and the Cahaba Project voted to merge and form as one town, which is the city we know today. So without the Cahaba Project, we don't have Trussville as we know it today. His words about destiny for that generation of Americans became incredibly accurate during the late 1940s, just post-World War II era, 1950s, and beyond. That's all I got. So now I'd rather talk with you than talk at you. Y'all have any questions? What you got, Ben? Yeah. Oh, gosh. Putting me on the spot. So, okay. I'm waiting on somebody to correct me. So, my understanding here is we're following Brentwood down, maybe West Mall, down Parkway. So we're probably in this vicinity. Yeah. Benny, accurate? I'm putting you on the spot. Yes. Got it. All right. Is that it on that one? All right. What else y'all got? Anything? What you got, Kathy? Yeah. Yeah, a lot of it. It was everywhere though, right? But oh yeah. I mean, there's some grass over it now, but but yes. I don't know. You've asked a question beyond my capabilities. I know it when I see it. But I don't know. It's a great question. I am just not the person to answer it. Well, yeah, I know what it is, but mineral composition and all that stuff, I don't know. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Generally. Chat GPT says. Hmm. Sure. Yeah. Somebody else's problem. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, y'all.
Let's see. What? The,
No, there was another one. There was another one on Lake Street. That's why it's named Lake Street on the 100 block of Lake Street.
that's like right out here. Or are you talking about?
Yeah, that's right out the door now.
Yeah.
But there was a lake there, Ralph. I promise.
I haven't seen one. I think the most I saw at one point was like on one of the Resettlement Administration's blueprints, drawings, or whatever, where they had something that said like Community Lake or something that was like in that vicinity, like as if it was a plan. But I haven't seen an actual photo of it. No.
I don't know anything about that. The only lake I know about was the one that was on the Lancaster property.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely heard of that one. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
It was always crawfish in there. The lake wasn't holding water all the time. I think they still got the same problems in Lancaster.
Yeah. There's a fun chapter about that property in the book. Yeah. What you got? What made them want to build the town? Well, so like they were picking places like all around for new, resettlement administration communities. And at least in our area, like our county got however many they got, and they all needed to be a certain mileage from Birmingham. I think it was 14 miles from Birmingham, if memory serves. So like you got one out at Palmerdale. You've got the one here, and it was a proximity to Birmingham thing. So they had all this 600 and something acres out here that the government bought and built what they built. Yeah. Yeah. They started construction in 1936 and homes opened in 1938. A lot of people working, and it sounds fast, but my understanding is they worked pretty slow because they needed the work. Once your job was done, you got to find the next thing. So, how many?
Letters to that extent. I'm sure you've seen the letters where they
Yeah.
know not to be in a hurry.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Bob Davis's favorite thing to talk about is no economy of labor. And that's how these were built. And he will tell you that over and over again. No economy of labor, built with the finest materials. You saw, let me find this picture. Where'd this picture go? How many guys does it take to paint a door frame? There's your proof. Right there. Yeah.
So I'm guessing you don't agree with that statement. These houses are just old, just need to be torn down.
I do not. I think there are, there's 287 of them. Like I've said this before, like there are plenty, I'm sure, that have over the years fallen into disrepair for this reason, that reason. Someone passes away, it falls to a child, they don't live here, and it falls apart. You get termites, you get all that. What I'm more interested in, and have always been more interested in, rather than pointing fingers of should it have come down, should it have not have, it's like if something has come down, I want the conversation to be, what do we build back? Because I live in Stockton, and if I tear my house down and build a log cabin, do you think I'm living in Stockton much longer?
Gary, talk about that the government had plans for these houses to be added onto.
Correct.
Some people have even got a copy of those blueprints.
Yeah, we've got them.
You've seen pictures of them.
Yeah, we've got them.
So when somebody says these houses are just too small with not just one bathroom and they're weren't intended to be bigger. We
Yeah.
got proof that the government intended for them to be expanded from day one.
Yeah, and I've talked about this numerous times, and I always try to come at it from that education representing CHHF aspect, where do I have my opinions? Of course, but let me just show you, maybe something you haven't seen, right? And some of those houses, they were built big enough, or they were built out, what they were going to be from the get-go. But there's at least a couple blueprints where, hey, we know that to get into these homes, to rent them, you have to meet certain criteria. You have to make this much money, you have to only have this many kids, but we know that you're probably going to have more kids. So if you qualify for this house now and you need more room later, you're going to add on. And those, it's right there in black and white in the blueprints, that you can see future addition. One particular blueprint is a lot bigger than the other one, but there were certainly plans for that. And this has been a talking point of mine forever. I don't care who's in office. I'm not going to give federal government much credit, but this was done incredibly well. There was forethought. And has anyone ever been on any street in the Cahaba project and had to do a 3-point turn? No, because all the streets are interconnected. You can get anywhere and everywhere you need to go from any street because they are all interconnected. It was designed incredibly well with yes, room for expansion down the road, for sure. What you got, Ben?
As far as the 50,000 foot view stored on nature front, if you're looking at this for the rest of our country, how many more of these are in existence in the rest of the U.S. and how they're shaped with all the research that?
I mean, we've talked about a few. We've certainly talked about Greendale in Wisconsin. You got Greendale, Greenville, and Greenbelt. Green Hills is in Ohio. Greenbelt, that one's a little different because it's still kind of a cooperative living thing, is my understanding. And then where you're going, Greendale, Wisconsin. Yeah, and you're going. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Right. So how many there are and how many are left and what percentage is intact, I don't exactly know. But we've had a couple of visitors from Greendale, Wisconsin that live in one of those historic houses come here and visit ours, and they're like, oh, this is a lot bigger. This is very much intact. It's harmonious throughout, So I can't really compare, I guess, because I haven't really been to them, and truthfully, I haven't researched a ton of them. But Lord have mercy. Jessica's shaking her head.
I have an apology to Ralph. That was hearsay from somebody that told me about the lake being down here. So I apologize, Ralph, because that was told to me years ago. So I do apologize. I wasn't trying to correct you. Really, I wasn't.
Me an apology.
Hey,
I love
hey.
you, Ralph. I never would do anything. I'm never going to say anything that is gospel.
Yeah.
In concrete.
I told y'all the book had conflict.
Judy, I respect my elders.
It's got even more conflict. Anthony.
Yeah, I know we have proposed models if a house has to be torn down and restored.
Yeah.
Do we have models for addition?
What do you mean models for, like?
If somebody has to add on, do we have certain guidelines they need to follow?
I mean, we have a design review committee, but I don't, now speaking on it, not knowing a ton about it, I would need Ben Short or Lisa. I see Lisa's there now. Like design review essentially has no teeth. Yeah. Correct. So.
Review as it exists now doesn't have any teeth.
So like Now, what I will say is, by and large, I would imagine a lot of people who have gone through and done redesigns, or even if it's a full rebuild, a lot of them have tried their best to do it in character, in scale, that kind of thing. I can think of a few. I can also think of a few that said, we're doing 0% of that, and we all know those homes. Yeah, I think yeah, and they were designed that, a lot of them were designed that way so you could add that addition in the back, to have that more space, because they are half acre to 3/4 acre lots. Um, I think personally, I'm just one person out of 30,000 or whatever we got in this city now, but uh, I think that aesthetic and that harmony, that street facing exterior, I think that is incredibly important. Like, you get things out of scale and you lose your sense of place, you lose your character. And, I know people are going to walk those sidewalks anyway because of how convenient it is. You're right next to the river, you're right next to the school, the library, like, what's not to love? But I think if you project it forward, and if you've got this going through the neighborhood and this kind of build and that kind of build, I mean, you're certainly going to lose character. That's a no doubt.
Well, Gary, we had a current city official who said in a city council meeting that she thought all neighborhoods should have continuity. And
I haven't watched any of that.
yeah, I was there that night, and I think she meant what she said. But the historical overlay that's in planning and zoning right now would give design review the same authority pretty much in the Cahaba project that they have in downtown Trussville right now, in the downtown area.
Yeah, there's a downtown overlay, yeah.
And it doesn't fit anybody from doing demolition of a house, but it does lay down specifications for if they build something back, that it has to fit within the neighborhood architectural integrity.
Sure. Architectural integrity, yeah.
Materials, style.
Yeah, I'll say this. I know there's a lot of people in this room that are either currently on council or are running for office, and I don't envy any of you. I'm gonna stay in my historical lane as a volunteer, and I'm gonna try to do my research to present this kind of stuff to the community, and hopefully people learn from it and have more of an understanding of what this place was designed to be. And nearly 90 years later, we've still mostly got it. But at one of our events, we had an architect, I believe it was, say, once the cat's out of the bag, you can't get the cat back in the bag. And I'd like where we're at. I would prefer to keep that cat in the bag.
I wish we had this organization 15 years ago.
I agree. I'm glad we.
What was your favorite thing out of this entire book? Not this book. You got a chance for redemption.
Redemption.
What do you think is your most important favorite thing you learned?
Most important or favorite? Okay, so what I will say, okay, there's two. I'm gonna give you two. One of them, the person's in the room, Beth. Michael Jackson was here. Jehovah's Witnessing. Yeah. Everybody talk to Beth after. Yeah, there's a chapter about Michael Jackson witness. He was here for, it was that main 1984 tour he was on, and they stopped in Birmingham just to rehearse at the BJCC. And so, like, I guess the following Sunday, like, he was still in the Jehovah's Witnesses. And so, like, I don't know what all he put on, Beth, I can't remember. Mustache. And you ever seen, if you're a sports guy, you remember when Bobby Valentine was the New York Mets manager and he got thrown out of the game and he came back wearing, like, the glasses and the mustache and stuff? That's what I imagine it to be like. And, some people, my understanding is some people were like, surely not. That it looked like him, but Michael Jackson, internet, come on. And only when Birmingham news people start calling was it like, oh, it was actually him. So, and Beth's dog chased him down the street. And and the other favorite that I have is actually about it's how I learned to write this particular chapter. It's when the Little League fields were built, that is now the green space in front of the senior center, the disc golf area, that big green space. So, dads and just the whole community building it themselves in 1956, right? And what I got curious about, I was actually talking with another historian, author guy, Art Black. He's written 3 books on Rickwood Field. And I was having a conversation with him at Rickwood Field one day, and I was trying to tie, I don't even remember what I was trying to tie together, but we were just having a conversation about what I'm writing now. And I was like, I'm writing this Little League chapter, but I don't know what angle to take. And he started talking, he just, it was almost from memory, not to date Art, but it was like he started talking about the 55 World Series and how important of a World Series that was. Not just because who was playing in it and all that, but that it was the first televised World Series, televised in color in some places kind of thing. And then because I start looking in our archives here, and I'm looking at 1956, and it was almost, to me, it was almost as if out of nowhere, it was like this fervor for Little League Baseball. And I was like, where did that come from? And Art goes, the World Series was on TV. It went 7 games. It was on TV, and people were hooked, And so that became a favorite of mine because I was able to tie something I learned from another National Register of Historic Places place, Rickwood Field, and his research to the research I was doing here, and combine it and kind of make what I think is a pretty cool, history chapter, but also that chapter is heavy community. So many people just coming and building this thing together, and it was a really cool chapter. Tandy.
So I've always heard that Eleanor Roosevelt came.
The Great Mystery. The Great Mystery.
I've seen like some documentation that she was in Birmingham and she did visit
It's like something down in Birmingham. Yeah.
Um,
My research ended where yours did. I couldn't find. I think the closest I found without being able to see it now was, I think it was 1939. I think. But she was writing that, I forget that, My Day, was that the name of the column? I forget her column that she syndicated all across the country in every newspaper. But, she was datelining everything, and here's what I'm doing tomorrow. Here's what I did yesterday. It was a diary that was printed for America. And there was one where she mentioned coming through Birmingham and visiting one of the resettlement projects. But I've never found anything that mentioned specifically which one. As close as I could get.
The one with the mall.
Huh?
The one with the mall. Only one had a mall.
Does it say that in that? Or does it say it somewhere else?
That's what I said.
Oh, that's what you said. You making up history over here, Rob? Yeah, it would. If you, but as someone who did this, I have to prove that, and if I can't prove it, I can say what it says. I can quote from that, but I can't just say that it was here. It stands a good reason that it would likely be here. Yeah. Yeah. Roosevelt's Folly Bridge, right? Yeah, that's also in the archives. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I wish I knew. That'd be cool. That'd be cool to be able to definitively prove that she stood out here and inspected this project, but I still have not been able to find. Yeah. Judy.
What I understand from the rumors was that this was the only project of the ones in Birmingham that was made for middle-class people as opposed to poor people.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Model city. Yeah.
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 But I mean, they made the other settlements, but they were for.
Got your modest house and 5 acres.
Okay.
That kind of thing. Yeah. And then here had to kind of change with, as the land was, you kind of have to, like I said earlier, you kind of pivot that and try to make it. They honestly they tried to show off. Like I've read, I know it's in the book somewhere, but it became almost a joke amongst people that they referred to, while this was being built, they referred to it as the government's country club because of how nice they were trying to build it.
Well, that's neat. Well,
Yeah.
the other thing, I haven't got far enough in the book yet.
Yeah.
I'm at page 80 with some looking forward.
Sure.
But I'm just thoroughly in love with the book. And
Checks in the
one
mail.
of the things I haven't seen yet, I'm not saying that you didn't write it because I
Yeah.
don't know yet, but about having a cow and chickens. And
For your garage,
our
yeah.
garages had the side,
Yeah.
one side for your car, the other side for your cow and your chicken coop.
All right. That's right.
Okay, is it in the book?
I don't remember. It's hard. It's okay. 3-year process, 500 pages. It's hard. I know you know. No, it's
Because it is so well researched.
yeah, but you're absolutely accurate. Yeah.
Ralph knows.
If you can find it in the garage, he's right. Mine originally
Mhm.
was that way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fact. Yeah.
Well, that's,
Mhm.
yeah, you have that in the back, that's why we had some acreage.
Yeah.
I don't know
Mhm.
how many you might have still.
I still got that in both of mine.
Why did I want to write the book? Really, I mean, I like finding any topic that's important to me, I guess, to write about. But I'd written the very short Trussville book, and then as our Cahaba Homestead Heritage Foundation got created and got started, and you really start diving into the history of this place and like, hey, what was this before? What was that before? And seeing how much of it still looks like that today. And again, another talking point I tell people, this place isn't just historic to Jefferson County. It's not just historic to Alabama. It's historic to the entire United States. And that for me was easy. That's like I was like, I have to write that, and you hear so many things from various people. I know I've heard it over the last 4 or 5 years, different opinions on what is historic, what isn't, how much of it's historic, how much isn't. And so there is a certain level of putting something out definitive that says, here are the facts. This is what this is. This is what it was intended to be. And then also the fun part was just talking to people and getting those stories about the baseball, about Michael Jackson, and other stories like that as well. So it kind of had a little bit of everything, really. What you got?
I love reading the newspapers.
Yeah.
Never been any history of flood events here since we're right on the river. It's real flat neighborhood.
Were you here in 2003?
Yeah.
No. All downtown Trussville. Downtown Trussville I was driving in it in a Honda Accord, and it was, I don't remember how high the water got, but so much stuff in City Hall, the one that's being remodeled and all that now. You had documents lost. I had a summer job working at Made Power, which is now the Keller Williams building on Main Street. And at the time, I don't know what the inside of that building looks like now, but at the time you'd walk to the back and it would descend down this ramp into a shop, where we'd work on lawnmowers and stuff. And we were more than waist high in that shop. 2003 flood was crazy. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah, it was crazy. Like because we had, yeah, we had when I worked there, because we kept the spot now next to that Keller Williams. Like there's like you've got what I think was Ella's on Main, and then like there's a strip of land between right now, and that little area was actually where we would park people's lawnmowers that they had worked on and stuff, and we had a shed back there and all that. But we had to go around there and like shut this gate and stuff. And one of the guys that worked there, his name was Steve, and Steve's about that tall, and so Steve is struggling. Steve is struggling to get through this, and from that day forward, he was known as Scuba Steve. And he is still Scuba Steve to us today. It was bad. Yeah. Sits in a bowl. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 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 There was all those jokes that Trussville was going to fall into the earth and stuff. Like I was at the junior high. I was one of the last classes at the junior high before me and Robert. We were in what they took our cafeteria, took our library. We had to eat. They would and not only that, they would, at the time, this was the middle school, and they would bus the lunches down to that trailer. And so I brought my lunch all year. I don't know about you, Robert, but I brought my and then they would bust books down there and stuff. But yes, Oak Street had some really, really big issues. One opened up right in the middle of the tennis courts out here. I know I've seen one in the last, oh gosh. Say what? Right there? Yeah. No. No. As much rain as we keep having this month too, it might be sooner rather than later. But yes, tons of sinkhole issues. There's a photo that's kind of an eerie photo that ran in the newspaper, I think 2001, 2002, when the one opened up on the tennis court. And then Mayor Gene Melton and Cooter Simpson are like standing at the edge of it, and they're just peering in, and it's creepy because it just looks like at any moment it could go. But yeah, tons of sinkhole issues. Yeah. 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 Yeah, they do, yeah, I knew of the mapping, but
X-ray. Don't call it that. What they call it? They actually
yeah.
did the depth study.
Yeah, because I know the biggest issue for homeowners ended up happening on Oak Street, if I'm correct. There were
in the rear house on the mall. The city bought it.
Yeah. See, there it is. What house number? You're giving me the last name. I need the number. North Mall, South Mall, West Mall. Oh, so funny.
The sumps. Y'all know about the sumps, right?
What?
The sumps. You know about the sumps?
Some?
Nobody knows about. Okay. Behind the Presbyterian Church on Highway 11. Behind there is entrance to
Oh, the cave.
a cave.
Yeah. I've got a video about to come out about that that's really creepy, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah, you're talking about the
You've
cave.
been.
You've been a big old snake out of that and probably put it in the hall of the high school.
I know I did. But what? You don't remember seeing all the sumps?
No, well, I ain't doing something wicked. I just remember we had to go down in that cave and it was full of water. And we got this big old water snake in there and we brought it back up to school. It wrapped around the knobs of the front door of the school, and Monday morning there wasn't anybody going into school. They're all standing outside.
The story I've got coming out in this video is creepier than that. Because it was from 1893, but
I didn't know the history of that cave when the Yankees came through and burned the storehouse. That they put all the young guess they didn't think there would be anything back in there because there was water at the entrance. But I would be surprised if there's not still some stuff back in there.
Well, it's so close to the Cahaba, Pitchcut Creek and all of that. It's so close, and also the fact that it runs forever. So that may be some of the underground is actually the caves as opposed to,
Yeah.
I mean, the caving in.
Yeah.
Didn't you go in there with my brother?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. That's why I'm surprised.
He wasn't with me when we got that snake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past him.
The story I found from 1893, and you'll have to watch the video because it's kind of crazy, but there were two guys. They didn't know who they were. I never found any follow-up on this. And there was two guys, 1893. They're coming into Trussville, and they needed a ride or something. And I forget the name of the guy that was a Trussville guy that picked them up and gave them a lift and just said, we just need to be dropped off at Nebo. Let him off, went about his way. They had with them 2 boxes and a long crate, is what they called it. Reading it, in my mind, I'm thinking, those dudes had a coffin. But they apparently went down, put all this in that cave, came back out, didn't have it with them, left it. Some kids went searching for it, found the 2 boxes, and I forget exactly what it said, but the contents spilled out. They didn't know what the contents were. It went to the bottom of the water that was in there, and it remained a mystery even after that. So I don't know what they were doing, but I don't think they were working for the Boy Scouts or something. I don't think they were doing anything good.
But when the rock quarry opened up back there, they kind of like, kind of shooed us away and didn't want us going back there because they were afraid it might cave in or something. But
Yeah.
I haven't been back in that cave in a long time.
Yeah.
They're filled in now, though. I think it's completely gone.
This is the one behind the Great Church, or the one up
Behind, I went to the one behind the church about 6 months ago. It was filled with water.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's still, you can still notice
It was.
that.
I couldn't even tell from the cave opening there. It was so filled with water.
It's hard to tell when there's any rain. It's hard to tell anything down there.
That was only behind Belton.
Yeah, we need to hit up Scuba Steve. I'm worried it's the latter. Y'all got anything else? Going once, going twice? Sure.
So, I've lived in the Cahaba project since '92. When I moved in, my next door neighbor had been there probably since the late 30s or early 40s. He was kind of a fixture. He was getting older. I lived by myself. I'm single. I've lived by myself for decades. But my 80-year-old neighbor, even though he couldn't walk, he was in a little scooter, right? He was pretty crippled himself. He was always checking on me to make sure I was okay. When I broke my ankle in 2007, he came over on his little scooter. He was 80-something years old. He was checking on me. He was making sure I was okay. And that speaks to the greatest generation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lesson we can all learn from. And it's developed right here in the Cahaba project because of the sense of community that's developed.
Well said. Do you want the mic to drop it? You should. You should. It really was. It was great. Great story, Kathy.
Hey, Gary, can I make an announcement for the tree commission?
No.
I'm going to anyway. Because we outnumbered. There's 3 members of the Trussville Tree Commission here today.
Yeah.
And it's not often we get in front of this many people who either live or are interested in the Cahaba project.
Sure.
To date, we have put out 73 trees replanted in the Cahaba project.
Yeah.
And we get the city council is kind enough to give us a budget every year. Thank you, Lisa. And we use that to parlay way with other funds from Alabama Power and Senator Shelnut and Alabama Forestry to get additional trees. And we do a heck of an Arbor Day around here. We get
Do.
300-400 trees, and we're planting about 15, 18 trees a year on right away. So what the Trussville Tree Commission has jurisdiction over is every tree on city property and every tree on city right of way. In other words, the first 12 feet of your front yard.
Right.
So we are preferably trying to get all the tree canopy replanted within the Cahaba project, because as you know, our 85-year-old trees are starting to fall by the wayside. So if you're interested in having a tree put on the right of way, it has to be on the right of way in your front yard. We generally put 2 per lot, just like it was originally done. Originally, it was 1 tree in each corner of the lot. Jenna Hope Jones right over there, she's our secretary, and she maintains the list. So if you're interested in having a tree planted in your yard, we may not get to you this next planting season, maybe the next, depending on how much money the city gives us. But give Jenna your name and address and phone number, and we'll get you on the list, and we'll get you a tree sooner or later, maybe 2.
Sounds
You
good.
have to use the actual address and not the Pope's house.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
That's okay, Judy.
That was fun.
Well, if I could give the audience a hand, I would. Y'all have been super entertaining, but let's all give Gary a hand. I will say before this, I was looking up your other book, the one that you felt embarrassed about the interview, and the number of circulations for that book is incredible, because kids come in here and they have to research stuff. And so I'm excited for us to we already have our copy of the book, and I am excited to add that to the knowledge base for this community, especially since we're right in the middle of this, of the Cahaba project, which is pretty unique to me. But he has copies of his books back there. There's library information. Restrooms are down to the left for those who came in late. And thank you so much for making the library part of your weekend.
Thank you all.